Hi there, welcome to iTWireTV. Today we're joined by our special guest, the Chief Operating Officer of CyberArk, Eduarda Camacho. Thank you so much, Eduarda, for joining us.
Thank you so much, David. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Now, I understand you're in APAC, which is wonderful. And also, at the same time, I understand that CyberArk recently released the 2024 Identity Security Threat Landscape Intelligence Report. And I'm really interested in this report because I understand there's some interesting findings. And, I guess I'll start with that. I'm keen to understand, as a CyberArk COO and with your unique global perspective, what are some of the highlights to you that stand out from your point of view?
Yeah, look, I think a couple of things. What stands out, like if you think about it from an outcome perspective, right? What do we still see, and as we surveyed a lot of organizations around the world, is a big prevalence in terms of identity-related attacks. We are talking more than 93% of these organizations suffer two or more breaches. It's even higher in Australia, and we can talk a little bit about the differences. And what's interesting about this year's report is the dynamics behind what actually drives those breaches. And we talk about everything from actually the exponential increase in number of identities, because digital transformation and the new way of working and new environments, but also the usage of AI. Is creating an exponential growth in terms of identities. And a lot of these organizations survey, which is actually interesting, really think about the danger of a privileged account more for the human accounts, and pretty widely leave untouched the machine identities, which have even a greater exponential growth. And that's one of the findings in the report. Another really interesting finding is like more prevalence in terms of attacks, supply chain attacks and third party and fourth party, attacks, which just creates a lot of complexity, again, because of, the cloud moves and transformation, and, every company is a software company. So that's another one. The third highlight, I would say, you mentioned it, is the extensive use, right? Everyone's using AI tools, but the question is, between defender and attack, right? Who's going faster in terms of the right usage of AI, to protect with and from AI, as everyone is trying to boost productivity and efficiencies, leveraging AI. And I would say, to finalize there, we see still a lot in the report around, the syndrome, we call it, of shiny object, right? There's so much buzz and so much innovation, but the amount of tech depth, the amount of effort it takes, to really work with trusted partners and to really adopt solutions and maintain a cohesive security strategy, there's an imbalance there, right? Where we, there's the need of going deeper with strategic partnerships we advocate for, so that you can actually be protected instead of just accumulating a set of technologies. So I would say those are the main highlights. So, again, new identities, new attack methods, in this complex environment just makes it this, job to be interesting every day.
Yes, and I guess the level and types of attacks, it's amazing how it just keeps happening. I guess, are you surprised by the level and the types of attacks we're seeing? And are there any lessons there that Australian companies can benefit from?
Look, I think we see even a bigger prevalence of these breaches and these attacks, among the responders from Australia. I think 99%, really reported on more than 2 identity-related breaches. I think the nature of the attacks and what we see is very similar to what happens worldwide. I think in terms of lessons learned or things that can be done, obviously the need to continue to invest. There's a lot of now, a lot of regulations and a lot of push, right, to really invest in cybersecurity and in very, clear security postures. But there's the whole challenge around also workforce and finding the right skill sets. So we always talk about, again, being very deliberate about evaluating, the not just the tools, but also the companies, right, that you partner with, and keep a very clear and robust posture when it comes to security, making sure that you're training your workforce and like really, having security front and center, especially today with, the world of AI, even more so, right? Which another interesting finding from the report is that, only 70% of the organizations, think that, or 70% of the organizations think that their workforce can distinguish, deep fakes and, AI-generated phishing or phishing attacks. I think that's a very optimistic view, and that we need to keep investing in scaling up our organizations and keeping the awareness.
Yeah, no, brilliant insights. Appreciate those. And I'm keen to understand, I guess, how do you feel the results from Australia compared to the rest of the world?
I think, as I was just mentioning, I think the nature, right, of the challenges are very similar. I think there's a bit of the catching up from like the investments in the security from the Australian organizations. But I think that catching up is happening very, very fast. And it's actually driven by really by a positive thing else, right? Which is the acceleration of the move to cloud and the acceleration of digitization and all the investments there. So I think this, I would say there's a little bit of a gap in terms of, the reality around the breaches and the challenges is something that is being, that gap being closed very quickly by the level of investing and government mandated policies, and how everyone is really focusing as an ecosystem to go and address that gap.
Yeah, okay, excellent to know. So that's been really insightful. I appreciate, Eduarda, you telling me about the CyberArk 2024 Identity Security Threat Landscape Report, but I guess I'm keen to also understand more about yourself and your role as COO of CyberArk. You must have a very interesting and unique perspective around the world. I'm keen to understand, Eduarda, if you could share maybe a bit more about your role. What does the role of COO of CyberArk entail, and what sort of things keep you up at night?
Yes, well, fortunately, I'm a good sleeper. But yes, in terms of my COO role and what entails, I know 6 months as COO by CyberArk, met many customers, partners, and teams around the world. I think two things are my main focus areas. Like one, it's related to this topic that we were just talking about, the tech debt or the consolidation of trust, which is the best thing we can do as a company, is create this innovation around the solutions, to address these issues, the challenges we have, but also create and drive, real adoption and really realization of value by mitigating the risks, by, increasing the maturity of the security postures of our customers. So I would say a big part of my role is making sure that all across CyberArk and with our ecosystem, everything we do is driven by, value and outcomes to our customers. Because if they're not using it well, it doesn't matter how good the technology is, right? You have to make sure our customers are using it well and are following best practices, following out what we call our blueprint, and they're getting value and they're reducing their risk exposure. So that's one. I would say the second one is like more internally in making sure that we are our operations are efficient, are resilient, are following the best posture when it comes to risk management, and that actually, we are here for the long term to be able to continue to innovate and to secure together with our customers, against cyber threats. So those two angles are, my main focus areas.
Yeah, fantastic. No, thank you. And I understand, Eduardo, you're in our area of the world. You're in APAC at the moment. I'm keen to understand what insights maybe that's given you, and also what are customers saying to you?
So I had the pleasure to meet a lot of customers, here this week, also some of them virtually. We just had a big customer event. I would say the main, if I would summarize some of the main discussions or conversations we had, They were very much about, how do we can help them, the organization, especially, the more central IT organizations, to be able to elevate what it means to protect the company from just protecting, the IT organization to protecting everyone else, meaning how do you protect your normal workforce users, but without disrupting their, normal way of working? How do you go and talk to the engineering teams and the developer teams that, want to go fast, but at the same time, they need to do it in a secure way? So there's a lot of this concern, more than concern, like this push towards, security and privilege being much more than just an IT problem, but being a company-wide problem. And how can we help them, justify that it's not just, an audit and compliance need, but it's a fundamental need, for the resilience of the business, to take that look at identity security. I would say AI, it's been a very important conversation around, again, that's very similar with the other organizations around the world. But there's a lot of investments here. There's actually a lot of good progress, that everyone is a little bit on that sense. Okay, how can I go faster from, how I use AI to defend, right, versus, being more exposed because of AI generated attacks. And a lot about, how do we continue to build awareness in our workforce to be more protected. Use AI, but do it in a responsible way.
Yeah, fantastic. No, well, thank you. You've been a real font of knowledge, Eduarda, and you've answered all the questions I had about the CyberArk Identity Security Threat Landscape Report. It's been wonderful hearing about your role and what you're doing in APAC. I guess really that leaves me to now ask, what else is on your mind? What are things that I didn't think to ask about that you believe are, you'd like people to know about?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit more about some of the recent innovations and why it matters, right, to the people listening to us. I'll say, one, going back to the AI topic, we recently released our AI capabilities called Core AI. I think what's important to know about that is that the way we think about it is, AI providing intelligence, embedded into our solutions or our platform, so that actually it's not just a productivity improvement tool for our customers, but also is leveraging that power of understanding, everything that is happening in the organizations, right? What's happening in terms of events, what's happening in terms of anomalies, and start providing really intelligence recommendations, intelligence policies. And that's very important for us because, again, AI is a method of making companies more secure, advance of making them more vulnerable. So that's one. I would say the other one, which is another big topic, we announced recently our intention to acquire, Venafi, another company that we have partnered with for a long time, but that is a leader in machine identity, certificate lifecycle management, and others. It's really going to help address that issue with machine identities, not being really considered today or not being, protected today as, privileged, and really scale that, right, as the sheer number of machine identities, grows exponentially. So we believe the combination of the two is going to create a much stronger position for us and help our customers. And last but not least, again, in the spirit of making it easier to adopt and making the life of the user, transparent, that, is doing the work, but in a secure way, it's the launch of the CyberArk Secure Browser that really, it's to address that topic, that if I'm a user or a contractor, I can just, use a browser and without, any other visibility, do it in a much secure way. So those would be the three that I would highlight because they're very connected, to what we see in the landscape.
No, thank you very much, Eduarda. You've been awesome. I really appreciate your generosity of time and also the knowledge and insights you've given. It's really wonderful when we have an opportunity to speak with somebody like yourself with that perspective you have around the world, around many organizations, and certainly about risks and solutions. So no, I appreciate your time a lot. Thank you very much, Eduarda. You've been great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that's been CyberArk Chief Operating Officer, Eduarda Camacho. Thank you so much. Take care.